Stay tuned for the Sean Casey Show, a podcast for Patriots. People, we are back here on the Sean Casey Show, a podcast for Patriots. It's where we, the people, we, the resistance, meet each and every episode right here as we continue to resist against the march to Marxism being led by Chairman Joe Cackling, Kamala Harris, and the rest of their really strange, freaky cabinet. Wow, bunch of freaks in that cabinet, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you had a great weekend. It's a Monday, March 6th. 2023. We welcome back our executive producer, Joe Hosny Armacost.
Hey, good to be back. I'm a chairman at our church, and I spent the afternoon moving chairs around for people.
All right, that's good. As long as they weren't musical chairs, you're in good shape. Or the chairs on the Titanic.
Well, yeah, right.
Associate producer and researcher Michelle Drusella, Double X. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, you all set, ready to go? Good weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, it's always good. Always good when you're fighting the battles, not only
that's true
here, there, and everywhere. Let's leave it at that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something, right? Okay, so look, we've got a lot going on this week. Over the weekend, we have the big CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, that finished up. It would start on Thursday and concluded Saturday with a keynote address. Today's episode is the final battle, because that's what President Trump referred to the 2024 election cycle. About 610 days to go until the next presidential election, and this indeed is the final battle. And so don't forget, full episodes drop Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now you can check out the vodcast as well, the video version of the podcast. It is available on YouTube and Rumble. And again, so far so good on YouTube, so we haven't stepped on any toes that we know of. Of course, by the time I'm finished talking, who knows what can happen. But in any event, check us out. Tell us how you like it and how we're doing at The Sean Casey Show at gmail.com. We have about 3 or 4 episodes loaded there, ready to go. Today's quote is interesting. I don't know if many people are aware of our founding father, Benjamin Franklin. A lot of quotes, you probably have heard of him in the past. I don't think this one is as common. And because our founding fathers, when they were putting together the Constitution and our government and our country, they were aware of problems that could arise. In fact, you probably have heard Thomas Jefferson's quote about every once in a while, the tree of liberty has to be refreshed with the blood of patriots. That's pretty much a common one, because they knew man being man and not being perfect, man was susceptible and vulnerable to the very things that, created the tyrannical forces of King George and what they were trying to flee from, religious persecution, etc. And Ben Franklin injected his one note of prophetic insight when he said this, and I quote, "I agree to this Constitution, and I believe further that this is likely to be well administered for the course of years and can only end in despotism, as other forms have done before it, when the people shall become so corrupted as to need despotic government, being incapable of any other." End of quote. So it's an interesting quote from Ben Franklin, knowing that, things were going to start out good. People would like their freedom, and then eventually they would succumb to a more despotic or tyrannical form of government. And we're heading in that direction right now. This is the final battle. As President Trump said, we'll hear from him in just a second. But there's a lot at stake. And I know we've said this before and we've heard it before, but we haven't quite seen the battleground shaped like the way it is today between the Democratic machine and the Republican machine, the swamp, the deep state, and America first, trying to live up to our constitutional principles that President Trump and others are trying to get us to go there. The MAGA movement, those MAGA Republicans, as Joe Biden likes to refer to us as, but we're all constitutional conservatives. We want to live up to the Constitution. We want to make sure that if there ever is another war, that it is declared by Congress, as it should be. Not a police action, not mission creep, Not one of these things where the president commits troops for 90 days. Oh, and we get an authorization to use military. No. If we're going to fight in wars, they have to be in the vital interest of the United States, and they have to be declared wars. That's what we're going for in this and many other arenas of battle when it comes to the final battle here with this Constitution. You want to say something, Joe?
Yeah, I did. To me, maybe others feel this way as well, and somebody does. It's the state against the people at this point. Both Democrat and Republican. There's some good. Okay, I never say that cliche stuff. There's some good Republicans. There's a few, but really, I feel like on both sides, man, we've been let down terribly by everyone all around.
Yes, exactly.
And it's deep.
It is deep, and that's. I don't know if you caught his speech on Saturday. To me, it was the highlight of CPAC. There were many. We'll get to those here in just a moment. But former President Trump laid it out in pretty strong terms exactly what is at stake in the next election cycle. And, here people think, oh, come on, Sean, you're 610 days away. Well, that's true, but there's you have to prepare. We have to plan. We have to try to fix as many election fraud problems as we can.
Definitely.
And Trump now has gotten into this. All right, we're going to play the rules of their game. We're not going to insist on, election day voting and no mail-in ballot or whatever, because he knows he's seen it now twice in 20 and again in 2022 to Kerry Lake and others. What can happen if it's, for instance, let's say the National Football League changed the rules and the Ravens were playing the Redskins, okay? Mm-hmm. And let's say the Ravens adopted to the new rules. And they played by the new rules. And the Redskins said, we don't like the new rules. We're going to play by the old rules. Well, guess what? The Ravens would probably win that game because, they're the officials and everything else. They're going to be ruling in their favor. You don't put new rules in and ignore them, which is exactly what we did in 2020 and 2022. So you may not like the new rule changes. I don't. But unless you start to play by those rules, you're going to lose the game. So Trump is saying, hey, we're going to learn to play by those rules, and we're going to be better at it. We're not going to cheat. We're not going to steal. We're not going to do anything of that nature, but we're going to out hustle the other team. We're going to play by their rules, find a way to beat them at their own game. And then once we get in, then we're going to change rules back to the way they should be. Same day voting, get rid of the mail-in ballots, voter
paper
ID,
ballots,
paper ballots. Exactly. So that's what's going to happen. And I think that is a great strategy. Now, there's a lot, you can say it, but you got to go out and execute the game plan as well. So this is what President Trump he was about 100 minutes when he was talking on Saturday for the keynote address. And this to me was one of the biggest quotes out of his speech where he talks about the final battle.
We have no choice. If we don't do this, our country will be lost forever. People are tired of rhinos and globalists. They want to see America first. That's what they want. It's not too complicated. This is the final battle. They know it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. This is it. Either they win or we win. And if they win, we no longer have a country.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't put it in any more stark and serious term. Yeah, look, this is not Debbie Downer stuff. This is, this is a battle cry. That's what it is. Let's gird our loins. Let's get ready for the battle. First debate is in August. That's right. It's coming up in August, which is just 5 months away in Milwaukee. And the first primary is January 22nd in Iowa. And that's 10 and a half months away. So it's here. The election cycle is here. But this was another one I really think a lot of people kind of misconstrued this, but I think when Donald Trump says they're targeting him, it's not just him. They're targeting us. They're targeting the 75 million people that voted for Trump last time and believe he was the legitimately elected president until the Democrat cheating began. So here he's talking about what and who he is and what he represents to the MAGA movement and to the American people.
And if you put me back in the White House, their reign is over. Their reign will be over. And they know it. And America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation right now. We don't have free press. We don't have free anything. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution. Not going to let this happen.
I am your retribution for the J6 prisoners, for the military that have been drummed out of the service because they wouldn't get the jab, for all the people that have been wronged and treated like dirt by the Biden regime and the Marxists. He is our voice, our warrior, our retribution, and we have to help him cross the finish line this time. We can no longer pretend there aren't problems. There are problems. We're going to have to confront those head on, and you're going to have to do everything you can to make sure we help him get there, because our whole country is at stake in 2024. And again, when he says, look, the first time out, he kind of knew there was a deep state. He didn't know how bad it was. Now we have an idea just how bad it is. We've got a corrupt Justice Department. We have a corrupt FBI leadership. We have a lot of federal agencies that are corrupt, a lot of entrenched Obama acolytes that want to spy on the American people. And Trump said on Saturday, he'll take care of the deep state.
With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. They are people that don't get it, although in some cases they get it. They get it for their wallets, but we can't do that. We can't let that happen. We will drive out the global.
Yeah, going to drive out the globalists.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. They are going to drive out the globalists. And the deep state, they're run by globalists. It's all about power, control, and money. It's not about our Constitution. It's not about our freedoms. They want to take our freedoms away. COVID was a test. You'll hear in just a minute from the whistleblower at Pfizer that went to James O'Keefe and what she said. She's going to be our Patriot of the Week. We've already selected it, but I want you to hear it early in the week. But again, Trump, this is the reason why they're still talking about indicting him. And he said over the weekend, that's not going to end my campaign.
That's right.
You can try. You can try to indict me, but I'm not going to end my campaign. I am not going to quit. So we can't quit on him either. And he's sending a message to the political dynasties saying no more, and a specific person in mind when he delivered this shot across the bow.
We are never going to be a country ruled by entrenched political dynasties in both parties, rotten special interests, China-loving politicians, of which there are many. You listening to this, Mitch McConnell? Are you listening?
Yeah, Mitch, what do you got to say about that?
I heard you, Mr. President. Yeah.
That was a great one. So again, those were the really big shots across the bow, but he got into a little bit of policy as well. And he has been putting out a series of 5-minute policy videos that you really should go and watch on Truth Social. The latest one, he's got some really cool ideas about the future and American cities. If we have some time, maybe we'll play some on Wednesday on the show.
Yeah, go there and share them. Share the videos.
Yeah, share. Exactly. And get them out there, because you can't rely. Fox is done. Fox is over. Fox will not cover, again, Trump in any way, shape, or form. They've all bought into DeSantis. And again, I do like Governor DeSantis. He didn't even bother showing up at CPAC. More on that coming up in just a second. But what do we do with all the illegal aliens that have been pouring into this country over the last 2 years? Over 5 million already. The ones that we know about. And then, who knows, maybe another million more gotaways. Perhaps it's even more than that. We don't know. But I wanted to harken back to President Eisenhower. He had something called Operation Wetback back when he was president in the late 50s before Kennedy. He basically rounded up all the illegal aliens in the country, and he put them on trains, okay? And he sent them back to Mexico, back from whence they came. It was called, rather politically incorrect, and I love it, Operation Wetback, because that's when you were crossing the Rio Grande, you'd have a wet back when you got to the other side. So that's where that name comes from, and it's now a pejorative, so you can't say it, but we still have freedom of speech in this country. But here, President Trump talks about deporting all those that have snuck into the country and broken into the country.
Under my leadership, we will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. I will ask every state and federal agency to identify every known or suspected gang member in America, and every one of them that is here illegally, and we will pick them up and we will throw them out of our country, and there will be no questions asked.
And that's the way it should be. Out you go. You broke into this country illegally, out you go. No more of this dreamer crap where you brought in.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
We'll pick you up.
Yeah, I forgot which one that was. They picked you up at home.
What was that? That was a rental car company, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Started with an E. What the heck was the name of that company?
Enterprise.
Yeah. Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
I think they did.
Trump.
They did for me
Trump
one time.
Enterprise. We'll pick you up. Out you go.
We'll bus.
Very few elected officials have remembered our J6 political prisoners. And again, by the way, before I get to them, did you see the attack on the police in Atlanta over the weekend at Cop City?
I did see some of it. It's disgusting.
I heard about it.
Molotov cocktails. Thank God nobody was hurt.
That's a terrorist act.
Indeed. And it was a domestic terrorist activity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Antifa, all of them clad in black. This was a coordinated, planned attack on the police.
I thought it was
in Atlanta.
Peaceful, wasn't that a peaceful riot? I mean, Antifa doesn't pull that crap.
Yeah, but
you
don't see much coverage of it now, do you?
No, you don't. No.
Now
again, it wasn't on the Capitol, and of course, the J6 was not an attack. The people were attacked that day, and they responded in kind. But this was an attack on police. Marjorie Taylor Greene has introduced a bill, or will be introducing a bill defining Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization because they are.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah.
But as to our J6 prisoners being held almost 800 days, I think it's 778 days now, they've been held without bail, without a trial date, and it is just un-American, unconstitutional. President Trump has not forgotten the J6 prisoners.
The partisan and often corrupt intelligence agencies, the George Soros money machine that spends a lot of money on the prosecutors, by the way, the Antifa thugs who are allowed to roam the streets while we have people that in many cases are great patriots, great patriots, sing prayers every night, playing our national anthem every day, and they're sitting in a jail nearby, rotting away and being treated so unfairly, like nobody's probably ever been treated in this country before, except maybe me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hear at the end of today's episode, those prisoners singing our national anthem. We have a special guest for you in that special treat coming up at the end of the show. Then he turned to foreign policy as well, not only to domestic, but what he would do to the Wuhan Health Organization and to the Chi-Coms that unleashed the China virus, whatever you want to call it. Again, this is President Trump on what he would do with the WHO.
And I will implement a 4-year plan to phase out all Chinese imports of essential goods and gain total independence from China. We have to do it. We have to do it. I will hold China financially accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. And I will again withdraw from the WHO, which stands for We Hide Outbreaks. We hide outbreaks.
Look, he got a serious face on. You can tell. Mm-hmm. He is serious, as a heart attack. But the other thing that people forget is there wasn't a single war started under Trump. He decimated ISIS. They're coming back now. ISIS is starting to reconstitute. We got the murderous mad mullahs of Iran, just about 10 days away, having enough fissile material to make a bomb, although they have no delivery system for it yet. North Korea launching ICBMs. CCP is upping their defense budget and their military, getting ready to attack or invade Taiwan. We have the proxy war in Russia. And Trump, he thinks he's going to be the one that stops any potential future world war. And he said so over the weekend.
I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily.
Yeah, because he'll get the parties together and negotiate a deal. It's the art of the deal. It's the art of the peace deal. And I have every confidence that he'll be able to do that. Not Joe Biden, not Anthony Blinken, winking and nod.
Yeah.
That goofball. So that was really, it was 100 minutes, and there's a lot more. You should watch the whole speech. I took out what I thought was the best parts of it. And,
I can't see Biden making a 100-minute speech.
No way.
I mean, even if he had even if it was taped to a chair or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he did the State of the Union recently, and that was, what was that, 70?
Yes.
I think it was 70 minutes.
That's still a half an hour shot.
Right. But that was after like a 6-pack of Ensure and, probably a shot of adrenaline or epinephrine or something.
A load of goodies. Yeah.
Right. The Biden cocktail, as they call it. I want me one of them. All right. Some other highlights from CPAC. Some other highlights that we found. Steve Bannon was on fire from the War Room podcast. And Steve Bannon, he was rallying the troops. He was really good in addressing CPAC. And here's a little bit of what Steve had to say.
We're not looking for compromise. We're looking to save our country. We are not what they mean by unity is you to give up and you to roll over. This is how you get $32 trillion in debt, going to $52 trillion in debt. This is how you get your kid to die on foreign battlefields in Iraq and Afghanistan and now in Ukraine. That's how you do it, and we're not going to have it anymore. Donald J. Trump is not simply a leader of a political party. He is not a politician. He is a leader of the most powerful political movement in American history.
Now, so
Amen.
True. Amen to that. It is the most powerful. And now we have to live up to that. We are the most powerful political movement in history, and we have to rise to the occasion. We have to live up to the moment. We've got to stand and fight. That's the reason why we started this podcast 455 episodes ago, and we're going to continue this fight into the very near future. Kari Lake, interesting enough, we'll tell you the results of the straw poll here in just a second, but Kari Lake was there at CPAC, and she actually delivered a bombshell of what happened to her just before she came to CPAC. Here's Kari Lake describing what happened.
Somebody showed up at my door this week. They called me before and said, I got to talk to you in person. This can't be done over the phone, which is always kind of like, uh-oh, what's that going to be about? They came to my door and they tried to bribe me out of getting out of politics. It's really happened. I'm telling you this because this is how disgusting politics is. A mom who runs for office and they're afraid of me, they tried to bribe me with a job title, with a huge salary, a position on a board. This is how they do it. And I said, are you kidding me? I walked away from a big job and a big salary. I'm not motivated by that stuff, guys.
Yeah. And what does she have in common with Trump? I mean, Trump's a billionaire, but Kari Lake, it seems like she's driven by something else. She walked away from a nice TV salary, TV anchor. She was on the air for 22 years in Phoenix as a TV anchor. She just walked away. Because she said she was called by God and no amount of money. And they tried. This was a bunch of big donors back east. They were trying to persuade Kari Lake to get out of politics just for the next 2 years. And they'd give her a title and so on and so forth. And she said, and here's what she told them. The message to the big donor class, and I don't know whether it's Club for Growth, where DeSantis and Pence and Cruz and Scott and the rest of them were in Florida. At the same time, CPAC, Nikki Haley was at both. But here was her message to the big donor class of the GOP.
Let your handlers back east know that I can't name a price because there is no price that I would sell out my country for. Not $1 million, not $10 million, not $100 million. I love you right back. But I'll tell you, this tells me that they do not want my name on a ballot again. And I have a message. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
All right, interestingly, that's Kari Lake. And interestingly enough, the CPAC straw poll. And look, I've heard a lot of people talk about the straw poll. Some that say it's, a kingmaker. Others saying it doesn't really matter. Here's the deal. I think it's just it's a reflection of who really is considered to be the front runner in the Republican primary. Now, this is an off year. So next year's straw poll will be infinitely more interesting than this year's. Mm-hmm. But this year's is a good barometer. Now, DeSantis didn't go, but Trump gets 62%.
Yeah.
And DeSantis, and which is a good showing for DeSantis, getting 20% by not showing. Some people say it's, how popular the speeches are. I disagree with that. This is really who is considered the titular head of the Republican Party, who's got the best shot. So it's 62% for Trump, 20% for DeSantis. The third place pick was somewhat of a surprise. Michigan businessman Perry Johnson. And you're going,
I've never heard of him. Yeah.
And then finishing up in fourth, I think, was Nikki Haley.
Where was Larry Hogan and all that?
Larry Hogan, you'll be happy to know, got 0.4%.
And then he said, I'm not running.
Yes. He got the message. Like, nobody wants you blockhead.
So there you go.
Now, interestingly enough, who do you think would be the front runner for the vice presidential straw poll at CPAC?
Well, I would vote for Kari Lake.
I know you would. And she won.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Kari Lake won with 20% of the vote.
Yeah.
Over Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. DeSantis got 14%. Haley got 10%.
That's why they're scared of her.
Yeah.
They're
scared of Trump. They're scared of her because they can't be bought. Mm-mm. Trump can't be bought because, number one, he's a billionaire, doesn't need their money. And Kari Lake she's on a mission. She's on a crusade. She is driven by the Lord in this pursuit. And when you have that kind of courage of your convictions, of faith, good luck.
If God be for us, who can be against us? There you go.
Also, very distressing news for Ron DeSantis. He's in the head-to-head poll as far as Hispanic voters go, latest YouGov poll. Trump with 67% support among Hispanics, 20% for DeSantis. So, and again, I do like Ron DeSantis. I just don't think it's his time. And my biggest concern with Ron DeSantis, and there's a New York Sun article out today that DeSantis is about ready to go scorched earth on Trump, calling him a loser for the 3 November election. So, again, I don't know if he wants to engage fully with Trump. That'll be two alpha males going at it, and it could get ugly for the primary. I think he should recognize he'll have a day, he'll have a time. But the only thing that concerns me about DeSantis is he will be owing, he needs money. He needs money to get there. And that's Club for Growth. That's people like Ken Griffin, a bunch of globalists who hate Trump are backing Paul Ryan, Jeb Bush, Fox News. Those are the people that are backing DeSantis over Trump.
About that scorched earth thing that they're saying that DeSantis is about to go through. I remember DeSantis not too long ago saying that he's not going to play into those games of going
he still might not. This was a report out of the New York Sun. Who knows how accurate it is. Now we'll wait and see. And, if he does go down
people are
that
trying
path,
to poke around.
Right? Or maybe it's a trial balloon to see how people are going to react. And the other big moment, there were two that I wanted to share with you was James O'Keefe, who was booted out of Project Veritas because he went after the big boys, Pfizer. He introduced his whistleblower. Her name is Debbie. We don't know her last name, but we did see her face. But you talk about courage. taking on big pharma. And she was on stage at CPAC just outside of D.C. at National Harbor in Maryland. And she talked about some of her fears and what she was concerned about as she was blowing the whistle on Pfizer.
I was a little reluctant to come at first. I was scared for my life. I was worried that I would end up in a body bag or in a car accident. But I realized that the spirit of fear is not from the Lord. And as a believer, I knew that I couldn't just sit there. I couldn't just sit there and watch people get lied to. People get gaslit. It made me angry. And I talked to James, and he, gave me the courage to come up here. And I'm so thankful, to have people here who are willing to listen and who are willing to stand up. And I think we all need to learn to not be fearful. Fear is how the enemy controls us. The reason why our country is going the way it's going is because of fear. People are willing to give up their freedom and their liberty to feel safe. We can't do that. Freedom is not free. Freedom comes with the price. And sometimes people, like me, have to make a sacrifice.
And she's absolutely right when she talks about fear is what they use to control us. It's interesting because Joe sent me a video over the weekend about 1984 and George Orwell. And that's exactly what she's talking about in this. Fear is what they use to control us. War is peace, freedom is slavery, and strength is ignorance, etc. And in that novel, they talk about the totalitarian nature of how they spy on us. They're constantly surveilling us. They use fear to control us in 1984 and in real life.
How we're banged into taking their lies and not even thinking about it. Why?
Right.
I mean, people that actually believe that 2 and 2 is 5.
That's what the mask, right? That's what the masking was all about, because it certainly didn't prevent spread of disease. They used it as a control mechanism. You will comply. In the words of a recent presidential kind of sort of candidate, wear the damn mask, is what he told Maryland.
No, he's not in the damn election anymore.
Yeah. Right. Well, I don't think he ever was.
Unless he rears his ugly head.
But that's exactly what they've done with the jab. You'll get the jab or you'll lose your job. You'll do this or you'll go to jail. You will, we'll teach you not to break in to your house that you pay taxes for by keeping you in jail 778 days. I mean, fear is a motivating factor for a lot of people. And when they have all the power, it's a very powerful weapon. And you can see that once again over the weekend, Joe Biden, where'd he go? Whenever the Democrats start getting in trouble, they go to scare tactics. They're going to cut your Social Security. They're going to cut your Medicare. You're going to have nothing. And over the weekend, he went to Selma, Alabama again, because that's the race card. They bring out the race card to drive fear into the hearts and minds of the Black community. It is one of the most divisive, poisonous things any president can do, under the guise of we will never forget them, because the Selma marches, I think the anniversary is tomorrow. But again, all of this being used when you listen to his speeches to drive fear into people. Speaking of fear, can you imagine parents now having to fight for the health care of their children, sending their children to school, only to find out their teachers are encouraging the use of different pronouns, are encouraging the use of, if you feel like a boy today, that we can help you get there with gender-affirming care or treatment, gender-affirming surgeries. know, it's fascinating to me. Wasn't the left really beside themselves with the FGM movement for years? The female genital mutilation. It was the female circumcision that was being practiced. And they were so adamantly opposed to that. I remember that was a big thing.
Yes.
About like 10 years ago or so. But now it's okay.
I remember
now you can mutilate the genitals of men and women. You can do top surgeries. You can do bottom surgeries in the name of pseudoscience.
And 5 years ago, it was a crime for a grown-up or an adult to talk to a small child about their genitals.
And sex, right?
Cool now.
Yeah.
You're
right. Today it's...
I remember when I was in school and they were playing Romeo and Juliet and the teacher stood in front of the screen so we couldn't see him kissing. Or so it was like, that was, and now it's like, oh, you can read this book that has all this soft porn in it.
So at CPAC, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman from Georgia, said she's about to introduce a bill to help stop the genital mutilation of males and females.
I'm going to be introducing my bill, the Protect Children's Innocence Act, that will make it a felony to perform anything to do with gender-affirming care on children.
Hear, hear.
That's right.
Get it in there. Let's pass it, and let's see what the Democrats do and the rhinos do in the Senate. People like Mitt Romney and Lisa Marie. I'd love to see Mr. Romney, who appears to be a God-fearing Mormon. Let's see what he does with that bill. And then, of course, Nikki Haley was at CPAC, and she repeated her call for the mental competency test for presidential candidates.
When I launched my campaign, I said every politician over 75 years old should be required to take a mental competency test. Have you seen D.C. lately? We should start with Joe Biden, and we shouldn't stop there.
And so the First Lady, Jill Biden, she got wind of this through a reporter, and you got to watch her reaction on this. This is just priceless. A reporter asking Jill Biden about the mental competency test that Nikki Haley was just talking about.
Nikki Haley, one of the Republican candidates, is calling for mental competency tests for those politicians over the age of 75. What do you think about that?
Ridiculous.
Would your husband ever take one of those?
I mean, we would never even discuss something like that.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, he would. Right.
There you go. That's why it's ridiculous. That's why they don't discuss it. It is the 800-pound elephant or gorilla in the room. That's for sure. No doubt about that. Okay, you mentioned Lockdown Larry just moments ago. Yesterday on Deface the Nation with Washington Compost bootlicker Robert Costa, Lockdown Larry, the former governor of the blue state of which we broadcast behind enemy lines, says he's peace out.
It was a tough decision, but I've decided that I will not be a candidate for the Republican nomination for president.
Dozens of supporters were heartbroken by the announcement.
And that just screws the whole thing up, doesn't it?
He did say that he's going to throw his 0.4% of the vote at CPAC to probably Chris Christie, Chris Sununu, or Asa Hutchinson, whichever rhino emerges from the pack.
I'm wondering if he'll run for Senate.
You know what? There's no guarantee he's going to win that based on the current numbers. So probably not. He's such a narcissist. He can't stand. But he's going to stick around. He's going to stick around. He's not going anywhere, he says.
And I don't plan on walking away. I'm going to continue to stay involved in that fight for the soul of the Republican Party, but I'm just not going to do it as a candidate for president.
Yeah, the fight for the soul of the Republican Party, which he, by the way, completely destroyed in the state of Maryland. Yeah. The Maryland GOP right now is in shambles. After 2 terms of Lockdown Larry, he drove a wedge between the MAGA Republicans and the traditional, swampy establishment Republicans. He did not grow the party when he was in Maryland. In fact, all he needed was to get 5 senators, and not this past election, the election before, to make it a veto-proof majority in the state Senate in Maryland, and he failed. Mm-hmm. He got 3. He still needed 2 more. 3. A lousy 3. Larry Hogan is in it for Larry Hogan. Just remember that. But he hates Trump, and he makes that known every time he's given an interview. But he just doesn't hate Trump he hates the MAGA movement.
It's. I think I'm trying to stop Trumpism, but I'm really trying to return to real republicanism. I say I come from the Republican wing of the Republican Party, not the Trump or MAGA wing, and I think there are a lot of people out there that would like to see us return to a traditional Republican Party.
Is that what he's talking about there? The Republican wing is the Rockefeller wing of the Republican Party. These are big government Republicans. Okay. These are the more center left Republicans, more of the liberal Republicans like Mitt Romney and Susan Collins and the Paul Ryan and so on and so forth. That's the wing he comes from. He's not a Reagan conservative. He claims to be a conservative. He is not a conservative. He's not a Reagan conservative. And the latest, of course, is the MAGA or the Trump, the America First wing of the party, which is not neocons or neoliberals by any stretch of the imagination, but are constitutionally driven and want to stay out of foreign entanglements. Like, gee, there was a president that said that once. Oh, yeah, his name was George Washington. He turned out to be pretty good, didn't he? So, Larry, maybe you can go and be the ambassador to South Korea. Maybe Joe Biden will get you the hell out of the country because that's we've seen enough here in the state of Maryland. Hey, did you see that story last week that the next bond may be a woke bond?
I've
talked
been
about
seeing,
it a little bit. Yeah,
yes,
they're talking about the next bond. We're not quite sure it's going to be yet. It will be a man, but who knows? It may be a metrosexual. But that bond man is going to be a woke bond, and well, I think we have a little bit of a hint at how that's going to turn out.
Bond is back, but he's not battling evil geniuses. He's dismantling the patriarchy.
The name's Bond, James Bond, and the pronouns are they, them.
It's woke James Bond.
I'd like a vegan martini with a free trade vermouth, shaken, but in a non-appropriated fashion.
007 has a license to kill, but not a license to offend.
Hello, Mr. Bond. I believe you know my name.
I do. But would it be okay if I shortened it to just Galore?
You'll have to forgive me if I've dead-named you. And he's driving a brand new automobile.
Mr. Bond, I've put the finishing touches on your Tesla.
For heaven's sake, Q. I can't be associated with Elon Musk. Remove the coexist bumper sticker and slap it on a Subaru.
Woke James Bond.
Do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger?
No, Mr. Bond, because I suspect you'll avoid trigger words that may spark microaggressions.
And there you have it.
Wow.
Somehow,
I could
it
see
will
that.
not be the same.
No.
I will end my collection. If that turns out to be an accurate depiction, I will end my collection. I've got every single Bond flick ever made. And it is one of my favorites of all time. But that'll cook the goose for that one. That's for sure. All right, time for our cringe moment of the day. And this actually happened in Baltimore over the weekend. Chris Rock was at the Hippo doing his stand-up. He was filming a special for Netflix. The Hippodrome is a theater in downtown Baltimore. We call it the Hippo. And he was explaining why he didn't retaliate against Will Smith, when he slapped Chris Rock for cracking a joke about Jada Pinkett, his wife. Here's what he said.
And a lot of people go, Chris, how come you didn't do nothing back that night? Because I got parents. That's why. Because I was raised. I got parents. And you know what my parents taught me? Don't fight in front of white people.
I would have wanted to punch him in the neck.
Yeah, I mean, if some dude comes up on stage and slaps me, I'm sorry. He's getting hit back. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit there and because I have parents. My parent, I know he was cracking a joke there, but that is really soft, don't you think?
Yeah.
That was a pretty low shot at Will Smith, too. Think about it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, really. That's what he did. But it was cringeworthy. But you can check it out on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called, the name of the show, but it'll be out. I think it's out now, or they were recording it or whatever. Time for the unhinged moment.
Donald J. Trump is now president of the United States.
All right, the unhinged moment today belongs to the second gentleman. That is what we refer to the husband of the vice president. Doug Elmhoff is the husband of Cackling Kamala. When she's not jonesing over Venn diagrams and yellow school buses, she loves her husband, who now, remember, the first ladies and the second gentlemen, they all come up with a cause. They embrace a cause. Remember, Nancy Reagan was Just Say No. It was a war on drugs. Again, Melania Trump had the Be Best campaign. Well, it's a little bit of a different campaign for the second gentleman. Here he tells a reporter what's near and dear to his heart. Wait to hear this one.
Can we just talk about masculinity for a moment? Has being second gentleman changed your own view of perceived gender roles or what it means to be a man?
This is something I've thought about a lot and something I've spoken about a lot. There's too much of toxicity. It's masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine.
Let me be clear. I am not gay. I never have been gay.
Do you have a penis?
Male toxicity. That's what there's too much male toxicity out there, says the man that during the most recent State of the Union speech grabbed the first lady and planted a kiss on her lips.
Right.
Tell me that wasn't toxic. Wow.
Well, it was toxic, but I don't know how masculine it was.
Right.
Unbelievable. Paz writes into the show, the authoritarian state couldn't have a better figurehead than this addled phony relic. It is why Biden is allowed to lie about a past he never lived. Lie about an economy that doesn't exist. A lie about the efficacy of masks and COVID shots. It is why Biden can travel to Ukraine, fund a war, yet abandon Americans in need like those in East Palestine, Ohio. It is why Biden can laugh about a mother who lost 2 sons to drugs. All the authoritarians expect in return is that Biden mumbles the lines on the teleprompter provided by his tyrannical handlers. Thank you for fighting the good fight, for fighting for the truth. We face a significant challenge, for I worry that too many Americans are falling for the lies of this authoritarian state. Boz, thank you for writing to us. You can write to us at theshawncaseyshow@gmail.com. All right, I thought we'd close the show today with a special presentation. These are the prisoners of J6, who every night from their jail cells sing the national anthem. Someone was able to record them singing the national anthem, and then someone was able to edit together President Trump in between verses of the national anthem with his pledge of allegiance. Let's watch and listen to this moving moment.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is called Justice for All and hashtag J6PC. It's the J6 Prison Choir. That's what it stands for. And look, I don't agree. Anybody that assaulted a police officer or vandalized should be charged, but they do in our system, under our Constitution, should get bail, should face a jury of their peers and get a trial date. And many of them have not. And that is un-American and unconstitutional.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
That's going to do it for us. Monday edition of the show. We're back on Hump Day. Thanks to our executive producer, Joe Hosny-Armacost.
I'll see you all on Wednesday.
And our associate producer and researcher, Double X.
Have a good day.
And to our other associate producers, Logan and Hunter Casey. Until the next time, remember to stay free.